Saladin, the philosopher-conqueror. Saladin's arc is subtler, but no less profound. In history and in the film, he is painted not as a brute conqueror, but as a man of philosophy, discipline, and mercy. For him, Jerusalem is the heart of faith. To reclaim it is to restore balance after decades of crusader cruelty. Yet, unlike many warlords, he is not intoxicated by vengeance. When he faces Balian, he could choose blood.
History would justify it.
His soldiers expect it. But in that moment, he looks at a knight who fought with honor, and he chooses something greater than vengeance, mercy. His famous line, "Nothing, everything," is not just about Jerusalem. It is about himself. His conquest is meaningless if it leaves him a butcher. It is everything if it allows him to walk in alignment with God's justice. His arc is that of a man balancing conquest with wisdom and proving that true power is not only in the sword, but in restraint. Baldwin IV, the absent king. Though long dead by the time of the parley, Baldwin IV, the leper king, haunts this scene. Baldwin was a boy king cursed with leprosy, yet his wisdom, mercy, and foresight made him one of the few rulers both Christians and Muslims respected. His dream was always peace. His presence lingers like a ghost over the negotiations. Would Baldwin have done the same? Perhaps. Would his death always lead to war?
Certainly.
Saladin respected Baldwin deeply. Balian fought for Baldwin's vision of a just Jerusalem. And so, even in absence, Baldwin's arc completes itself here. The city is spared not through his hands, but through those who inherited his wisdom. Godfrey of Balian, the father's legacy. Godfrey dies early in the film, but his shadow looms over Balian. His oath, that creed of knighthood, becomes the moral compass for his son. Godfrey believed a man could be more than blood, more than titles. And in Balian's stand before Saladin, that belief is proven true. It is Godfrey's words that echo when Balian refuses to abandon the people. The father's arc is fulfilled in the son, the convergence in the parley. Here's what makes this scene cinematic genius.
It is not just dialogue.
It is the collision of arcs. Balian's arc, from broken blacksmith to true knight. Saladin's arc, from conqueror to philosopher king. Baldwin's ghost, the dream of peace living on. Godfrey's legacy, the knight's oath embodied. The parley is the point where all of these arcs resolve. And that is why the moment feels so heavy. Because every character's journey, whether living or dead, is present in that single question. What is Jerusalem worth? Philosophy and themes. 1. Faith versus fanaticism. At the heart of the film is one brutal question. What does it mean to fight for God? The Crusades were waged in the name of religion, yet Kingdom of Heaven forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth. Much of that war was not about faith, but about power cloaked in faith. Fanaticism, both Christian and Muslim, is shown as destructive. The film does not glorify holy war, it strips it bare, exposing the arrogance of men who believe God needs their swords. In contrast, true faith is quiet. It's in Baldwin's mercy, in Saladin's restraint, in Balian's defense of the helpless. The movie whispers what history often drowns out. God is not served by conquest. He is honored by justice. 2. Leadership versus power. There are two kinds of men in this story. Those who seek power for its own sake, Guy de Lusignan, Reynold de Chatillon, the warmongers. Those who seek leadership as service, Baldwin, Balian, even Saladin. Power is selfish. It burns cities and slaughters innocents. Leadership is sacrificial. It carries the burden of responsibility, even when it costs everything. When Balian tells the people of Jerusalem, "We fight for the people of this city, not for riches, nor glory, nor honor, but for the people," he defines leadership. It's not about the crown. It's about who will bleed to keep others safe. 3. Mercy versus vengeance. Saladin could have slaughtered the city. History would have justified it. His men would have cheered. His enemies had done worse to his people. But mercy is not weakness. Mercy is the highest form of strength. By sparing Jerusalem, Saladin reveals the paradox of vengeance. It never ends. Violence begets violence, blood answers blood, and no side ever wins. Mercy breaks that cycle. It is the greater victory. 4. Identity and legacy. Balian is a bastard blacksmith, no noble blood, no title. And yet, he becomes the defender of Jerusalem, respected even by Saladin. The message? Identity is not given by birth. Legacy is not bought with gold. They are forged through choices. Godfrey's oath, safeguard the helpless, do no wrong, becomes Balian's identity. And by living that out, his legacy eclipses those of kings who wore crowns. 5. The value of a city. The most famous moment of the parley is not a sword clash, but a philosophical question. Saladin, what is Jerusalem worth? Balian, nothing. Saladin, everything. This exchange is the heart of the film. Jerusalem is nothing because no stone, no wall, no crown is worth the rivers of blood spilled over it. Jerusalem is everything because it embodies faith, memory, identity, the spiritual center of billions. The brilliance of this moment is that both answers are true, and the film leaves us holding that paradox. 6. The Kingdom of Heaven. The title itself is not about land. It's not about Jerusalem. It's about a different kingdom, the one not built by swords or kings. Throughout the film, we are asked, what is the Kingdom of Heaven? Is it a city?
No.
Is it a throne?
No.
Is it a crown?
No.
It is justice. It is mercy. It is truth lived out in action. When Balian fights not for conquest but for the helpless, he is closer to the kingdom of heaven than all the kings who claimed God was on their side. The message is timeless. The kingdom of heaven is within us, or not at all. 7. The universal message. Here's why Kingdom of Heaven endures. It isn't just about Christians or Muslims, East or West. It's about the universal struggle of human beings caught between faith and fanaticism, mercy and vengeance, power and leadership. Ridley Scott isn't preaching a religion. He's holding up a mirror to humanity and asking, what kind of people are we when we say we fight for God? What kind of leaders are we when power is in our hands? What do we value more, conquest or mercy? The philosophy is not just medieval. It's modern. It's eternal. Cinematic impact. 1. Ridley Scott's vision. Ridley Scott has always been a master of scale, Gladiator, Blade Runner, Alien. But here he does something unusual. Instead of drowning the parley in spectacle, he strips it down. The fate of Jerusalem, the clash of civilizations, comes down to two men on horseback speaking softly in the ruins of a city. This restraint is genius. It tells us, the true weight of history is not in armies charging, but in choices whispered across a table. 2. The silence of power. Notice how quiet the scene is. There's no roaring music at first, no shouting. Just the wind moving across the battlefield, the hushed tension of two civilizations holding their breath. That silence is the sound of history pausing. It makes Saladin's words, nothing, everything, echo with the weight of thunder. 3. The framing of equals. The cinematography is deliberate. When Balian and Saladin face one another, the camera frames them as equals. There is no low angle that makes Saladin a towering conqueror. No heroic lighting that makes Balian the righteous savior. Instead, both are centered, both are calm, both are dignified. The visual message? Greatness is not in crushing your enemy, it's in recognizing his humanity. 4. Costumes and symbolism. Look at the costumes. Saladin in white, robes flowing, a symbol of mercy, wisdom, and purity. Balian in battle-worn armor, scratched and battered, representing endurance, sacrifice, and realism. Their clothing tells the story. One comes as conqueror with the choice of mercy, the other as defender with nothing left but dignity. It's not just dialogue. It's visual philosophy. 5. Light and shadow. The use of light is subtle but masterful. The battlefield is dim, smoky, gray, reflecting the exhaustion of war. But when the camera rests on Saladin and Balian, there is clarity, brightness, as though the world itself leans in to witness this moment. It feels biblical, as if light itself is a character, separating truth from destruction. 6. The score by Harry Gregson Williams. The music here is restrained, haunting. Unlike the bombastic battle themes, the score during the parley is almost sacred. Strings rise gently, vocals echo like a prayer, giving the dialogue a timeless quality. It doesn't tell us what to feel. It gives space, reverence for us to realize what we are witnessing. And then, at Saladin's line, everything, the music swells, but not to overwhelm. It simply lifts the words into eternity. 7. Performance. Ghassan Massoud and Orlando Bloom. This scene belongs to two performances. Ghassan Massoud, Saladin, delivers his lines with calm authority. He does not need to shout. His power is in restraint. His mercy feels earned. His wisdom feels ancient. When he says everything, it's not a boast. It's a truth spoken by a man who understands both faith and empire. Orlando Bloom, Balian, plays a man exhausted, broken, yet resolute. His delivery of nothing is not sarcastic or mocking. It is weary. He knows the blood cost of land. His voice trembles not from fear, but from honesty. Together, they create one of the greatest dialogues in cinema, not an exchange of insults, but of truth. 8. The weight of restraint. In most war films, the climax is the clash of steel. But here, the climax is the refusal of violence. The choice to not destroy. Cinema thrives on subversion, and Ridley Scott subverts the very expectation of epic spectacle. He delivers something rarer, a quiet triumph of wisdom over destruction. That is why this scene lingers. Because in a world addicted to war, it shows us the radical beauty of peace. 9. Why it feels eternal. This scene doesn't just belong to 1187. It feels like it could belong to any era. World leaders in nuclear standoffs, presidents and generals debating war, even personal feuds between ordinary people. The framing, the score, the performances, they lift the story beyond history and into myth. We don't just watch Saladin and Balian. We watch ourselves and the choices humanity always faces: vengeance or mercy, legacy and influence. 1. The immediate misunderstanding. When Kingdom of Heaven was released in 2005, it was not praised as an instant masterpiece. In fact, the theatrical cut was considered disappointing. Critics called it uneven, bloated, and shallow. Audiences expected another Gladiator, brutal spectacle, a clear hero, a clear villain. Instead, they got a philosophical meditation on religion, tolerance, and the futility of holy war. The parley scene, in particular, was seen by some as anticlimactic. People wanted a final battle, not a quiet exchange of words. But they missed it. They missed the point. 2. The redemption. The director's cut. Then came the director's cut. Ridley Scott restored over 45 minutes of footage. Suddenly, the film's pacing, character arcs, and moral weight made sense. Balian's journey was complete. The politics of Jerusalem were richer, deeper. Sibylla's arc was restored, making her one of the most tragic, complex women in historical epics. And with this restoration, the parley scene shone brighter than ever. It was no longer an odd, quiet ending. It was the natural climax of a film about mercy versus fanaticism. Many critics revisited their reviews. Some called it a masterpiece of modern historical epic. 3. The scene's place in cinema history. Why does this one scene tower above hundreds of battle epics? Because it dares to redefine what a great climax is. Not the biggest explosion, not the most swords clashing, but the deepest truth, spoken plainly. It belongs in the lineage of great cinematic moments. Atticus Finch's courtroom speech, To Kill a Mockingbird. Colonel Jessup's You Can't Handle the Truth. A Few Good Men. Gandhi's Salt March, Gandhi. The parley of Balian and Saladin, Kingdom of Heaven. Different eras, different conflicts, the same weight of human morality captured on screen. 4. The philosophy that echoes. This scene's legacy is not just cinematic, it is philosophical. It forces us to question: what is land worth? What is war worth? Can faith survive without bloodshed? Can enemies meet not with hatred, but with respect? Generations of viewers have left the film with those questions rattling in their minds. And in an age of endless war and political division, the questions only grow sharper. 5. Influence on modern epics. Many later historical dramas borrowed from Kingdom of Heaven's restraint. Lincoln, 2012, ends not with war spectacle, but with a speech about unity and sacrifice. Silence, 2016, by Martin Scorsese ends with quiet faith in a hidden cross, not violence. Even Game of Thrones took lessons, its most powerful episodes like The Winds of Winter, and with political quiet and dread, not swordplay. The DNA of Ridley Scott's Jerusalem parley is everywhere, the courage to say, words can be louder than battles. 6. A mirror for our time. When we revisit this scene today, it feels prophetic. Think about modern politics, modern conflicts, and then you hear Saladin. What is Jerusalem worth? Nothing. Everything. It lands like scripture, not tied to one religion, but universal. A reminder that the worth of land, cities, nations is not in their stones, but in the people who live, suffer, and die for them. 7. Why it will endure. There are epic films that win Oscars and are forgotten. There are blockbusters that dominate box offices and vanish. But a scene like this? It endures. Because it is not entertainment, it is a mirror, a question, a challenge. Future generations will continue to watch Balian and Saladin face each other and ask, would I choose mercy? Would I choose wisdom? Or would I let pride destroy everything? That is why this is not just the greatest scene in Kingdom of Heaven. It may well be the greatest scene in all of cinema. So, what makes this moment immortal? It is the perfect fusion of history, philosophy, performance, cinematography, and restraint. It dares to say that the most powerful weapon is not the sword, but the truth spoken calmly at the end of the world. And that is why when the dust settles, when the armies fade, when history moves on, we remember Saladin's quiet words. Nothing, everything. If this scene stirred you, if it made you rethink what cinema can do, then join me on this journey of rediscovering film. Hit subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and tell me, do you agree this is the greatest scene in cinema? Or is there another moment that surpasses it? Because cinema is not just about what we watch. It's about the conversations we keep alive long after the credits roll.